right, I think we're going to go ahead and get it kicked off. First of all, thank you very much for your investment of time in our Tech Talk series. As you probably know, our Tech Talk series is really a celebration of our everyday, the passions, the interests, the things, the perspectives that we all bring into the efforts of what we do together as we collaborate. And so we're just celebrating that today. And I think that you'll find today's title and today's theme very consistent with that. So thank you again for your investment of time. Today's session is building culture for remote teams, especially in times of crisis, the especially added by me just now. Keep in mind that we try to have these series events every month. We're really excited about this one, but we're also excited about our next one, in which we'll be hosting Kent Beck. Those of you who are software engineers, especially that are interested in kind of the history and evolution of how we do things, will recognize Kent Beck as being the creator of the extreme programming methodology and one of the original 17 signers of the Agile Manifesto. We'll be hosting Kent on June 30th. So please stay tuned, watch for more information coming soon. So without further ado, let's introduce today's content. Leandro is going to present how rituals can be leveraged to create and facilitate cohesion. Leandro Butteri is a design director within the design studio, and you'll find that he's extremely passionate about strong team cultures and collaborative human connections. He's been described as a brilliant interaction designer, a leader by example, and a valued support for those around him, and a team member that simply wows clients. I know you're going to be excited about what he brings to us, so please welcome Leon. Leon, it's all you.
Thank you, Bill. Really kind of you, the presentation. I love it. Thanks. So yeah, welcome everyone. I'm super excited to be here and to share my experience, my team's experience, and yeah, to talk about a little bit about these interesting things, and especially at this time. So a few disclaimers. You will see me sometimes that I look at my right, maybe you see at your left, but I have my notes, so I don't want to miss anything. The other one is I'm gonna make some questions to you during the talk. So if you can, use the comment, actually the chat of Zoom. And then if you have any questions during the talk, please do in the Q&A section, and then we're gonna address it at the end of the talk. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you everyone for taking your time. As Bill said, I'm one of the design directors in the design studio. For the ones that maybe are outside Globant, we have you invited outside Globant. The design studio, I mean, we organize each other as studios, and the design studio is one of the studios that we take care of strategy, design, research, and everything related to those practices. I've been in Globant for around 9 years, gonna be 10. And yeah, I'm based in New York. I love biking, cycling. During the pandemic, I learned to play piano. I'm not good at it, but I just do it. And I love chocolate, and I think that was really interesting to say at this moment. All right, so let's start. So today I bring a topic that has been fascinating to me, that is team culture, and also relationship between people, and within those relationships, how rituals actually empower those relationships and actually go through the team culture, and of course people, right? So we're going to talk about people mostly. And because of my background in user experience or interaction design, as Bill says, I become obsessive with understanding the people and human. And there's a lot of, for the ones that maybe don't know, in our practices in design, especially, in digitally as well. So we are very focused on people, and that means we have a lot of connection with anthropology and sociology and psychology. And through my career, I've been fascinating through those topics, and I think that's becomes, one of my my goals. And suddenly I become very passionate about designing not only experience from service perspective or product perspective to our clients, but also how to design the team experiences, how those teams that build those products and services collaborate, interact, and eventually work. So yeah, so that's what we're going to talk today. First of all, I want to start with bringing this question. So if you can please answer in the chat. I want to know, what is the most challenging aspect of working remotely that you are currently facing within your teams right now? So yeah, so please don't be shy and share with me through the chat what are the most challenging aspects that you're facing right now. So I can actually know you a little bit more and see how I can as well, set up my talk during the chat. Monotony, building rapport. Okay. What else? Sometimes it's hard to feel like you are being part of something interesting. Brainstormings. Wow, a lot of things. Disconnection between the different teams, lack of collaboration, use of whiteboards. Yes, we need that a lot, even though we have Miro and Mural. A lot of lost the face of the face dynamic, like a lot of maybe like the picture of the people, missing human real interaction. Yes, we're gonna talk about that. Feeling lonely. Wow, interesting. Lack of real connection, not enough time to bond, sense of belonging. So great. We're gonna talk about a lot of those things now. Time difference, yes, that's another one. Working remotely, that happened a lot. So yeah, okay, thank you for sharing that. And definitely we're gonna touch a few topics of those topics in today's call. It's not a call, it's a talk, sorry. All right, so I want to start with setting up the context and how actually this becomes really interest to me based on my personal experience and my team's experience. And everything started on 2020, right? So suddenly it was early March. We were kicking a series of projects for really important clients. And we were like actually a small team, like around 5 or 6 people. But it was projected to grow around 30 plus people around that year. The things like nobody knew much of what would unfold that year. Like everyone is like, what happened? What is going to happen? Suddenly the virus, the lockdown, and everything started to get really complicated. So we didn't know too much what happened. And I was responsible for keeping these teams, delivering functional and healthy. And suddenly we grew a lot. It was shocking also for me that suddenly during that year, from 5 to 35, it was too much, and especially too much to handle in a crisis. Like it was, people, different countries, like 5 time zones, different type of lockdowns and different type of remote working. Someone mentioned here feeling lonely. Suddenly people start to work lonely from the home or with a family, and it was like very complicated. So I started to really get very interested and see how I can, me as responsible for these people and these teams, how I can help them and how I can support them through that journey. And this is something really interesting, right? So the challenge to develop and maintain a culture in remote teams is really demanding, as you guys, you've been saying, sense of belonging, motivation, missing human real interactions, all the things that you guys put here are real. But leading a remote teams that can maintain focus, cohesion, and engagement during a crisis, it was definitely something else. And this is something I want to talk about with you guys and share my experience and see how we can learn about that. So definitely this was my north, right? So when I started to plan what we will do during that moment, we were growing and trying to keep cohesion about the teams. that was my first thought and my north through the whole thing, right? So I set like a personal goal, no matter what, just to focus actually on people, just to bring people first, besides anything else. And I know that we need to deliver, we need to keep our clients happy, we need to do great product, great services. But for me, it was really important actually to put people first and then see how we can actually accommodate the rest. And this is something that sometimes, in work environments could be a little bit, I don't know if it's common or not common, but we focus a lot on task, on deliver and everything. But again, for me, this statement was really, really important and really, like impactful. So that's why I focused on that. So based on that, I've been reading a lot, as I told you, during my career. And one of my favorite books is Culture Code, that I really recommended, by Daniel Coyle. And basically what he said is like, he started to investigate what makes successful groups actually successful, highly successful groups, meaning in work, in military, in sports. So he started to study a lot about these people and interview and blah, 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 and all those stuff. And he came up, or actually, or not come up, but he actually said that he found that these three things are the enablers for successful groups. So basically, it's just building safety within groups, sharing vulnerability, that we're going to talk a lot about today, and also establishing purpose within that team. And that for me was really, really also interesting. And I focus a lot those strategies and those things that we're going to talk today to actually build a team culture, right? So that was really also my main focus, how to create environments or teams that can feel safe within that crisis, and also that can open up to share the vulnerability and to know, how we are, where we are, and how we can come up together, and also to create a sense of purpose. That's a really strong feeling that all humans have and need to have. So again, my question was how to set up a context to strengthen a team culture that it was already there. That was a team that was growing through building safe, shared vulnerability, and established purpose. So, team rituals. So I think this is one of the main subjects when I talk today. So team rituals, I rely a lot on them and became so strong on my daily work also. That it was really, really effective to keep all my teams and me with them all together through that crisis. And now it becomes like really regular within my teams. And I think it's really important. I want to share that with you. And teams rituals are, we have rituals actually in every day, like collaborative and family rituals, individual rituals. We do that every day. We just, get up, drink coffee. That's a ritual. And that's really important to keep us going and functional. And I think that was something that it was missing, or something that actually teams rituals can, especially on remote teams, can be replaced. It's hard to replace those rituals when you move to a remote environment. That's what I want to say. So I really put emphasis on that. Rituals are like, maybe if you're in the office, you just go to the kitchen, grab some coffee and try to talk with someone. That's a touch point. That's maybe a ritual that people get together every, in lunch and have lunch together. So how you replace that, how you translate that into remote. And that was my main objective. So what are teams rituals? So basically, they are activities with a strong symbolic meaning running through a period of time. That's it. That's very simple. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be big enough or complex. It's just a matter of, think about activities within meetings, not only meetings, but could be activities that you inject in meetings. Could be through communication tools. You just create a ritual through communicating in different type of tools, Slack or WhatsApp or whatever. Peer recognition activities, that was really strong on my teams. Creative and collaborative meetings, and asynchronous and synchronous also activities, and why not after hour encounters. So that was basically the categories that I found that we were developing in those cases, and those actually are team rituals. And something funny. Yesterday was the Ocean Day, World Ocean Day. So I just want to bring a little dolphin to bring us a little bit of insights during the talk. So again, share synchronous or asynchronous moments. That was the key point as well. All right, so story time. I wanna bring this story because again, it's really interesting to think about rituals not only in work environments and how actually are important outside, and especially in very extreme situations. And I was caught up with this story for a long time. It's really interesting to me as well. Shackleton was a captain, a leader in the Antarctic exploration area when we didn't reach at that time the South Pole. And people were just like going to expedition and trying to reach and be the first one, whatever. So Shackleton was one of the main leaders, and one of the latest, I don't know if it was the latest, but one of the latest exploration that he did. He got stuck even before reaching to the South Pole, and they have to think about how to come back. So they have to abandon ship. It was stuck in the middle of the ice. They couldn't move it, and they have to think about how to come back at that moment. And the interesting about Shackleton strategy as a leader was to really emphasize rituals over, of course, others important things like food, how we get food, how we can actually get warm, how we sleep, how we function. But he really put emphasis on rituals, and it's a really it's a very important study case about how his leadership actually allows the crew to come back alive. They spend 2 years stuck in there, but they come back alive. So he called this like mental medicine. For him, it was really important to take care of mental medicine and put it on top priority, even before or during thinking about how we can come back, how we can get food, how we can, etc. He tried to keep the crew busy with these rituals, and basically the idea is just to try to avoid boredom. That boredom can become really heavy on the mental of the people, and then start to get maybe incentive, no motivated, and then in this extreme situation it's just like that. So basically he set up rituals for the crew, and they create like haircuts competition here on the left side, and also different activities together. They just go outside and play soccer, football. They do stuff, and they play games. And I read also they do some kind of like stand-up sometimes. So with that, he strongly believed that mental medicine was really important to keep the people healthy, and he did it. He succeeded with his whole crew, and they come back alive. So anyways, I just want to bring this story because I think it's interesting to think about how rituals are not just activities that maybe we can lose time on them or they're not necessary, but in this case it's are really important, and especially also in remote is also super important. All right, so let's break down rituals and what I found out, how to see rituals in work environments. So rituals, we can see them as a breakthrough moments, right? Those breakthrough moments that exist on the office sometime, or you encounter people and you start to talk about something, or you create, for example, here in New York office, we create a ritual that every Friday we get all together and we have a puzzle in the middle of the office, and everyone get together and start to try to build that puzzle together. Again, it's just something that it's a breakthrough moment that can happen. So how to enable them? Just basically step one, create the structure necessary for those breakthrough moments to happen. Basically just create a ritual, set up the cadence. If it's a meeting, it's just like, let's do it, every Wednesday or whatever. Or if it's something within a meeting, remember to bring that ritual in every meeting. We're gonna see it a little bit later now. And then step two, just provide permission for them to happen. It's just like allow the team participation. And also here the dolphin said that should be optional, right? You don't have to push also for that. Just people, need to participate if only if they want. They have to be recurring, and they build connection. Basically, they start to build connection and encourage people to know a little, to know each other at a personal level, and that's really, really powerful. All right, so we can see also rituals as collisions, and I took this this word from Tony Hish. He was the CEO of Zappos. Unfortunately, he died a couple of years or last year, but he was a very empathetic leader and CEO, and he called these collisions. It's a little bit maybe violent, but he called these encounters collisions, or these moments. And the interesting thing that I read about that is he actually planned to set up goals of having like numbers of collisionable hours, he called it that way, per year for himself and his team, or 100 collisional hours per acre based on his project. It was really interesting to think about that, how we can plan for that. And I think actually rituals are those things. So one thing that is really important, and I learned also, is like prefabricated team bonding exercise is a recipe for boredom. I mean, they can work, but they're not like just plug and play in different teams. So my tips here are just customization is the key. Spend time with your team, get to know the people, be genuinely curious about what they care about, what they do, find those nuances and find those nodes that connect the team. If it's a specific subject or it's a specific behavior, if it's something that we talk about that. Let's find the nodes, be playful, and let's also find that connection. Let the people know that, and again, just as we were just talking before, provide permission for that to happen. And if it's necessary, just move away sometimes, right? Just let that happen. That's another interesting thing. All right, so another interesting thing about rituals is like we can consider them as a highly cooperative touch points. And again, to me, rituals need to be collaborative and meaningful for sure. Otherwise, it's just, as the dolphins say here, it's just another meeting. It's just another charge within the day, within the weeks, and it's not gonna work. So it needs to be collaborative, it needs to be meaningful. Rituals can be broken down into mini touch points. They don't have to be, again, it's just a whole meeting. We can see that we can create asynchronous rituals, and it doesn't bother too much. And I thought I tried to illustrate this, and I don't know if I will be able to explain it, how I think about it. But think about this as like a cycle where actually you start. Collaboration enable trust, right? So if you collaborate, actually you start to trust the other to collaborate with you. Trust allows or enable vulnerability. If you trust the other person, you will open up as well. But vulnerability also will provide stronger connections, and those stronger connections will generate cohesion, and that's what we need in teams. And cohesions will form purpose. So this is like a circle, right? Like purpose will generate collaboration. And I think that was really powerful, really interesting to me to find out how rituals can enable these things. And we will see a few examples. The last thing I want to mention is rituals as a form of investment in relationship. And this is also really, really cool. How rituals can be leveraged as a seed to grow better relationships. And this may sound a little bit crazy, but it is actually, it is, but it's important actually. How also rituals, how with ritual, how we can start to prioritize relationship toward task. And you can be very focused on task, and definitely we have to do that. We need to deliver, we need to have our clients happy. But I think I'm really strong believer that if we also prioritize relationships towards those tasks, people can gain other dimension of collaboration in work. It's going to be easier. It's going to be better and faster. If we collaborate, you can do your task even easier and faster and more meaningful. So I think it's really interesting to see rituals as an investment in those relations. How you invest in every relationship, how you invest in time and energy, I think rituals, drop those investment, and the return is really powerful. And I have another example, the Navy SEALs here. They actually plan within the training program. They plan these they call it micro events or highly cooperative touch points between the members in the training to create closeness and collaboration. So it's like really, they plan those things to happen. And again, that's a way of investment for the success of that group at the end. All right, so we reached the second part of the talk, and I want to bring another question to you. Think about, I want to know how you felt facing remote working challenges during the pandemic lockdown, even if it's still happening. I want to know if you can open up a little bit and think about how you feel or how you felt. How did you feel about that? So if you can share that with me, it will be amazing. Miguel says, creatively restricted. Wow, that's a good one. Burnout. Fear, overwhelm. Yes, really hard to focus. Actually, I like it. Okay, good. That's a good one too. That's valid. I feel like a caged animal, overwhelmed, unmotivated. Michelle says, actually feel integrated into a team. That's good. I didn't find purpose beyond billing the client. Wow, that's another strong one. Frustrated, hard to focus, overwhelmed. All right, so all these things, right? So it's like really strong. And this is where I want to bring the feeling, right, into the work environment. We are humans, and we feel those stuff, and we have emotions through those feelings. And it's really important to understand that. So I want to talk about what do we do when everything goes wrong, and Teams Ritual helped me and my teams, and I strongly believe about this, that in time of crisis, rituals can be leveraged as a way of channeling those emotions. And it's really important that during those crises, we can actually do that. So again, prioritize for people, support them, be closer to them as much as you can with all the tools that you have, and rituals are one of them. And it could be one-on-ones meetings. It could be, again, another rituals, spaces for channeling those emotions. And actually, they are strong emotions. You guys are telling me frustrated, unmotivated, overwhelmed, fear. I mean, that are really strong emotion that we bring into our work, and we need to channel in those. We are not machines that we can like set that aside. Emotions like, are natural. We cannot sometimes control it. We can control what we do with them. So that's the control that we have. And another interesting thing is like provide crisis management toolkits. That's another interesting thing. And highly cooperative moments with purpose. And here Dolphin says, enable mental medicine. So during the crisis, we can be like Shackleton and really try to enable those mental medicines. So how as a leader, and how actually also like a peer to the other one, how we can support, right? And I found out that at least within my teams and what I've been, seeing, I found two types of mindsets in people within that crisis. Mindset A, I will call it A or B, whatever. It's just one mindset is that mindset or that type of people and how they actually think about the crisis. They need to channel the situation through actions towards that crisis. people that they say, I need to do something about it. I cannot stay here without helping. I need to feel that I'm useful. During the pandemic, like people start, some of my team start to create like a mask, right? How they, someone start to do it in their own home and then ship it to the team. That was really, really interesting to observe. That was wonderful. So how that mindset need actually to, through an action, channeling those emotions, and they need to feel that they are part of, that they are doing something about it. So you as a leader, or again as a peer, you need to allow them, you need to support that, you need to let that happen, you need to give space for that. So identify that mindset and allow them. But there's another mindset, it's equally valid, that they need to channel those situations, focus it on something completely different and opposite of that crisis. And that was also super valid, and we need to give a space as well. So distractions as a way of generate more space to process and function through that crisis. And some phrases, I need to get distracted and then come back and do my work. I'm too overwhelmed by this, I cannot concentrate, I need to step out for a moment and then come back. Yes, do it, allow them that to happen. They identify that mindset. And again, we are humans and we have different ways of channeling. And I bet there are more type of mindset in people. I'm just talking about these two maybe extremes, but it could be nuances or something in the middle that can happen. Sometimes you want, maybe you go through those mindset in different stage of the crisis. So again, I think it's really, really important to make that as a priority as well. All right, so this is the most fun part too of the talk, and I think we are good with time. So how does it look like? So I want to show you a few examples that we did with our teams during that moment. We keep doing it, we keep refining it, we keep iterating and creating new ones. But just to give you a certain idea of what we're talking about. All right, definitely the most valuable, the most easy one to do is one-on-ones. So, and definitely, I mean, when that happened during the 2020, I automatically, even if we were like, of course, when we are 5 or 6, it's super easy. Then we start to grow is a little bit harder, but I generate one-on-ones with everyone in my team every week. And we call it virtual coffees. And I know that Globant now is called virtual coffees, but I want to say that we did it even before. But now that is spread all over the company. And I think that's great. Just to call it that way, increase the sense of proximity. It's like we were actually having coffee, and we can name it, like ice virtual coffee or virtual coffee or virtual coffee with whatever. It's just like something that, one-on-ones are super powerful. And one of the things that we did in our teams is just basically encourage that. So we have, again, we're going to talk about later, but we're going to see later, but we have retro meetings, and we encourage that. It's like virtual coffees and channels are available. Like create that virtual coffee with you and your peers or with your leader, and just actually do it, because in that moment, and especially in remote, we start to lose those times. So we need to inject, and we need to actually push for this to happen. So that's a strategic ritual that is really, really important. Another one type of rituals. Remember that we talk about activities within meetings. So we start also to define different type of activities within meetings. So we used to have meetings every Monday just to catch up with all the teams, and we come up with every Monday, we will have 10 minutes of those meetings talking about, okay, everyone talk about the favorite object of the week. So everyone will say, I don't know, my bike or my pencil because I'm drawing, or my piano, or I don't know, whatever. So you start to generate those connections with people. If everyone's saying I'm drawing and the other one saying also I'm drawing, so they start to connect. So inject those activities within meeting was really powerful. And then we create something that we call it define your sign. So you can say, I'm using this type of sign like Batman, or I'm like, so in every time we enter a meeting, we just draw that sign, and we knew that, okay, it was you, So everyone choose their own sign as a sense of also belonging. We start to share our pet portfolio that we are super proud of. And again, every Friday we just review it and just laugh. And this is also really interesting, how a ritual can be asynchronous. You start to share pictures of your pets in different type of moments of the day, and also that's really, really helpful. Okay, so that's activities within meetings. Another powerful thing that we did is just automate workflows within Slack. Those are like little reminders, and sometimes could be annoying, but I think they were really important that time. We set up healthy reminders, just, hey, it's 2 p.m., time to take a short break. Do what you need to do, drink some water, take a short walk, play with your pet, take a shower, something. So every every day, 2 p.m., that thing will come up again as another reminder. And also team shoutouts within Slack. And then I start to also leverage, it's called Geekbot. That is a plugin within Slack. It's not within, it's working in Slack, but basically we automate the daily stand-ups. Instead of like when we start to grow, again, when we were 5, it was okay, but when we were 35, it's in different projects, in different accounts, it's totally impossible actually to do that. So we set up, here are some examples. For example, in the left, it's just a daily stand-up that the bot will ask you, how do you feel today? What will you do today? Anything blocking your progress? And the interesting thing about it is like people start to use the how you feel in different customized ways. So it's like, and be also vulnerable about it. So as we can see, people say, how do you feel? Good. Someone says, I'm missing this person, or I had an alfajor, like a candy, or I couldn't sleep very well, I'm frustrated. Here, someone says, I'm sad and tired. And suddenly also start to see how they start to interact each other. How, for example, this person is also answering that this person is sad and tired and say, is there anything I can help you with? And that's really powerful. That's something that usually happens maybe in the office when you see someone and that is sad or something. And here you cannot see it, but so we need to actually make that visible. So making that visible was really powerful, was really, really necessary as well. And here, I feel a little bit weak and tired, get better. So again, those little things is just put a bot in Slack, how it can help to do that. And of course, encourage people to use it. And then there was another one, like every Friday, the bot will ask you pizza topping of the week. There's basically random crazy questions that it was also personal. It's like, what the hottest place you've ever been? Someone says the subway in Buenos Aires or Spain or something like that. So it will post those things also in the retro, and we share that to make it more collaborative. All right, and then shout-out was really, really important. That's something that we did every Friday in the retro meetings, and I will tell you a little bit now later. But shoutouts become super common and super necessary. We were tired. We are tired. We are burned out. We are all sharing. So we need to do shoutouts. We need to tell the other people you are doing great, even though you feel bad, or you are doing good, or don't worry, this will pass, even though it's crazy. And as we start to create these rituals where we actually generate our own hours, like the chévere, like the patient of the week, or the firefighter, or the scientific, or the fixer-upper, or the Speedy Gonzalez, you did it super fast. So, and we start to, encourage people to do those shoutouts. And of course, Start Me Up was really helpful as well. And we, every Friday, we spend some time to really do shoutouts. And even if it feels like cringy, or maybe it's always doing the same, or this is too much, start to generate that sense of, I care about you. I can say that it's gonna be okay, and the other person can hear that everyone also is saying. And even if this happened to be a really bad week, at least someone says, you are a firefighter, you are fighting this, you are it's gonna be fine. So this is one of my favorites, actually. And then what's always important, so through this Slack plugin that is called Geekbot, you can go there and use it. Of course, it's not free. You need to pay it, but it starts to allow me to measure the team's mood through the week. I start to generate, all this data and how people react to those scenarios, and we can. It wasn't for me. It was to showcase my team that we are going through up and downs always, and patchy roads are strong in teams, and showcase that is fine. Sometimes we are sad or bad or really, strong feelings, but we also start to share that kind of data, which is really important to keep moving forward as well. All right, another one is share playlists in Spotify or whatever, and anyone you want to see it, you want to use it. But again, just that's another asynchronous ritual. Start to generate those playlists, and we have a Slack channel too that we share music, and you start to interact. And again, someone posts something, and here you start a thread around certain bands on music, anything. Again, like really, really necessary sometimes. All right, and at the end, the glue that actually, the thing that glue everything here, it was this multi-joinery retro. So basically, at some points we were like around 6 projects in 3 accounts, divided again, like teams that they didn't work closely during the day, but I just merged them in a multi-joinery retro, and we just call it feast. Let's just eat. Let's sit down in the table, have some moment to actually share during the week. And there was a lot of things that we did there, and we keep doing it. It's like celebrating wins and fails. It's a safe space, shares up and downs. Now we're doing some internal talks, some presentations, and showcases. Shout outs are always there. Reflecting moments. Someone, maybe again, like, and start to provide those things. And it was a really interesting also channel that we can talk about these, tools that people can use and and go through the pandemic, or actually the crisis. Talk about vulnerability, talk about balance, talk about inclusive design. It was specifically for for our practice, but again, you can use a retro as you want, as long as again it becomes something that you do every Friday or every day, or you choose a day, whatever. But let that ritual go, and also step aside if it's necessary. All right, and this is just once we did this. We are fans of Star Wars, at least the majority, and we create this kind of like galaxy where the interesting thing about this is I want to show you these different planets. So this different aspect of how culture can be, built upon these rituals. So we have the retro feast. Again, every Friday there was that meeting. Or we have initiatives that we call the garage, and we can, help each other. We have that Slack channels. The after office, el fogón is a word in Spanish, like fire pit. The bot that every day asks you those questions and those reminders, and virtual coffees is like the kitchen. So all these little things, these little planets and rituals start to get together to actually generate cohesion and purpose, and actually generate that team culture within the teams. So yeah, so that was some examples of what we did. We don't have some time for them. I was just going to show you the exactly same things that I'm talking here, but we don't have time. So let's go to the final part of this presentation. What I want to, if you ask me one thing that I want to, make it clear or transmit to you or to share with you, is just, it is real and it's possible. It is super challenging, it's super demanding. You have to spend so much time doing this, enable this, running these rituals, but it's really, there's a really good returning for everything, for all those stuff. So of course there's up and downs, fun and boring, easy and hard moments through a journey. They are not easy at all, but keep an objective, stick with it, do it together, support each other, and prioritize for that. And I can assure you that this is actually something really necessary and is really good. And there's studies around here. I just put one Harvard study showcase that people in high trust organizations or teams are more productive, more energy at work. It's like, I like this one, 76% more engagement. And I truly believe this. I truly believe this. And I know that for sure by experience that rituals can help doing this. So that's one thing I want to let you with. I have a few phrases that I think that really cool. That cultivate trust by setting a clear direction, giving people what they need to see it through, and getting out of the way. That was also super interesting to me. Sometimes you need to give the direction and getting off the way and let these rituals go in. Some questions to leave you also. What else can we do to build cultures where people can talk about what they feel and ask what they need? That's really important. We need to really try to be vulnerable, even in our workspaces. It's important. And mostly now that we don't know how we're going to evolve in the office or in remote or a mix of that, we need to do that. And how we keep encouraging cultures that celebrate true collaboration and vulnerability, and how to prioritize for people first in our culture. Again, I don't have the answers. I just have some examples that help me go through those questions. I haven't answered it yet, but I think it's really important to keep those questions in mind. This is another really good one. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. But in between the two, the leader must become a servant. So that's what leaders should do, and it's important. Be a servant. I mean, support people. That's a leader, be a servant. So yeah, so now watching your agenda for next week's, what results are you willing to facilitate to your teams? So I want to leave you with that question. And I want to do a quick shout out to Cultural Hacking Studio. They are just building a new studio. They're really cool. And actually they are doing this for our clients, leadership mindset and organizational upskills, talent journey, cultural strategy. So there's a studio in Globant that we are doing that for our clients. So shout out to them. I don't know if anyone is around there from the studio, but shout out to that and reach out. And yeah, that's, I'm here, says Mariana. Okay, great. So talk with Mariana if you want to know a little bit more about cultural strategy, cultural hacking, sorry, studio. And yeah, so Q&A. Thank you. Let's keep the conversation going. I'm in LinkedIn, Twitter, and of course in Globant. Reach out, search me in Better Me or Start Me Up or whatever. Yeah, so let's go to some questions if anyone have.
Yeah, Leon, this was fantastic presentation. Thank you. Clearly you're hitting some nerves. At least one person has asked how they can be a part of your team.
Reach out.
and others were commenting that they were encouraged. They love the teamwork. The question was asked, what is the name of the extension? It's mentioned #WeFeast, but what extensions and plugins are you using for Slack?
Yeah, so basically I'm just using just one plugin that is called geekbot.com. So you can go there. It's like a really small startup in Greece, in Europe. They're really doing a great job. It's a paid service, but basically you can set up daily, automatic daily questions for the team. So you can customize whatever you want. It's like, how do you feel today? What will you do today? Or, and you can set up if you want to do it during middle of the week or certain hours, just to drop questions automatically. And that helped me a lot because when we start to grow, I hadn't have time to really be closer to everyone. So I set up that bot that actually reach out people. And even if it feels like, it's not real, it was important because collect that data and then we showcase it in synchronous on Fridays. So anyway, so it's called Geekbot. And the other plugin is just like workflows that Slack has by default. It's called workflows. You just go there, create a workflow, set up reminders, and just make it go. Yeah.
Great, thank you. The question was asked, are we going to share the presentation? And the comment was, it was great. And the answer is yes, we do plan to share the presentation.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We'll wait just one more moment. All right, just lots of great comments. I think everyone's finding it very engaging. How can you approach this to this idea with staff augmentation people? You know, does that change? And specifically when maybe you're not responsible or you know, kind of instrumented for client engagements?
That's really interesting question. It's challenging, but just to let you know, we right now, at least that group, it's around, again, 6 projects, around 3 accounts. I'm not assigned to the majority of those projects. And one of those projects are actually staff augmentation. What you just need to do is just find a way to actually get people together, no matter what they're doing, no matter what they are. Search for them, bring them, create a Slack channel. For example, for me, it was really successful, a Slack channel. I use that tool a lot, as you can see. Bring the people, bring a Slack channel, and let's start to generate that, no matter if it's just some. And actually, that's actually the purpose of rituals. If someone is alone, bring it, and and try to do it, no matter if it's a staff augmentation, if it's a cohesive team, or like a pod in Globant. It's just people working, so you just need to gather it through something and do it. So again, you don't have to be a leader, you don't have to be a manager or actually a mentor directly to that person. It's just like, hey, what you doing? Join, let's do this, and keep encouraging that.
Great. Thank you, Leandro. Huge thank you to you. Again, it was inspiring. I think we all took cues that we're going to perform actions against. Thanks again to all of you that took time out of your busy days to participate, engage. We absolutely love your feedback. We thrive on it. So if you have feedback, please reach out to myself, Bill Bronski, Amy Nygaard, or Cam Daly if you'd like to present, or if you have ideas for things you'd like covered in a future session. This session has been recorded and will be available soon. Wait for that to be published out. And don't forget, our next Tech Talk event will include Kent Beck. It's scheduled to take place around June 30th. So please watch for more information on that coming soon. Thank you all and have a great second half of your week. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you guys for setting up this. It's great. It was great. Thank you everyone for coming.